Tom R. speaking. I'm going to try to narrate this VCR tape for you, and for the rest of the films, I hope to get Bill Mitchell down here this summer from South Dakota to bail me out. I'm sure you'll appreciate his efforts in your behalf because he's pretty good at this sort of thing. I took a lot of movies during World War II. Some I got after the war and some I didn't. Some of you have seen them and some of you haven't, but anyway, earlier this year I had these films duplicated commercially onto a VCR tape. That makes it a lot easier to see and to everybody to have a copy if they really want one. You'll have to be satisfied with less when you look at these films because the pictures are not good and the film got deteriorated during the war. And the fact that I didn't see any of the pictures until after I got home. From over there you send them into the censor and you got them back after the war. So I bought the camera when I was there in Sydney and didn't see them until after the war. The opening scenes are of the SME at Liverpool, Australia, which is near Sydney, and it's the Australian equivalent of our Fort Belvoir, which some of you have been to. I was there for 6 weeks in 1942, flew down from Catherine, and then I flew back up to join the battalion up there. At that time, I was the battalion adjutant. So, for better or for worse, here they go. Well, here we are at the SME school in Sydney, School of Military Engineering. Bill Mitchell arrived in town this morning from South Dakota, so the two of us are going to see what we can do about doing some narrating on this particular tape. To begin with, those Aussies are real soldiers, aren't they? They're snappy.
Really do her upright.
A lot different than the Americans do. There are 4 Americans in there, and you can probably pick them out because when the Aussies are marching, the Americans are kind of strolling. Besides that, we're dressed differently.
I guess old General Lear told us that there wasn't any soldiers in the 43rd Engineers, just engineers, and that's what we were supposed to be doing. So.
Yep. We didn't do much soldiering all the time we were there, but we did a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah, anybody
That's inside the classroom there. Now we're down to the river and we're going to do a little ponton bridge building. Those pontoons are heavier than all hell. They're British made. Everything that the Aussies had, I think, in their service was British made. They're a good bridge.
They tended to be, the Aussie stuff all tended to be a little bit massive anyway, it seemed like, but it was
True.
Heavy enough to take it, but quite a difference in what we have today.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think they've taken some of the hard work out of it. Lots of just bull strength in those days. You just keep putting enough men on it to move and do whatever you want to do.
Yep, well,
That's
I guess it worked.
Yeah, we got the job done. The SCAF said, get the job done, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I heard Dave Scaff say that.
Hundreds, every day. You never forgot it. And report back.
Yeah, he always had to add that.
Yeah, and report back. I got a letter about this reunion from SCAF, and I sent the letter back, and I had 5 kids then, and I told him, I said, I got the job done and I'm reporting back. He had quite a time about that one. I wrote him that in the letter.
I don't think I made that reunion.
No. Yeah, that was down in Sioux City, I guess the first one.
Was it?
There.
Yeah, there we go. There's the gals that I went out and visited in Sydney. They were friends of some, or it was an aunt of somebody in the States that asked me to drop in and see them, and I dropped in to see them, but I can't for the life of me remember who in the world they were. There's Colonel Pickard. Every weekend, I'd go down and spend with Colonel Pickard. He was with the 43rd until we got to Melbourne, and then the Army transferred him to Army headquarters in Sydney, and that's where he was when I was in the SME in Liverpool. So Pick and I had a great time every weekend that I got in from the SME for 6 weeks. He had an automobile and an apartment, and I just thoroughly enjoyed visiting with him on those weekends. And we saw a lot of the country, this is part of it. This is, we went north of Sydney, along the shore north of Sydney there, and it's beautiful ocean, as you can see, beautiful country, really nice.
Yeah, they had a lot of beautiful country over in there, and some not so beautiful, I guess.
Yeah, here we are back in Northern Territory, but we didn't belong there, so we're back in Sydney again now. I think I goofed a little when I spliced these things together.
You'll be back.
Yeah, we'll get there.
You'll be back.
Just hang in there, we'll be there. We got to take this ride on this sedan again.
Not very many people had them, so you got to really show them off when you got them.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All the good kind of, there we are. Now we're back in Northern Territory for sure this time. This is bulldozer clearing one of the aerodromes, and I don't know which one. When I went back as battalion adjutant again. And the three of us were out looking around, and the three are David Scaff and Colonel Bronze and myself. There's the Catherine Express. It just ran from Catherine to Darwin. Only it had cattle cars. It didn't have any people cars. There we're up on top of this hill looking over the bush. That's the great Australian bush. And that's what it looks like as far as you can see. I guess I went native already. Nothing on but a pair of shorts. There's good old Joe Wishop.
The dingo's heading for D Company.
Yeah, B Company picked up a den of 3 dingoes. The cook, the chubby little cook at B Company kind of took care of them. He didn't take care of that one too well. He stuck his foot in the fire and got it burned. But I don't know what happened to all those. When we went to New Guinea, we only had 1 dingo with us.
I don't remember what happened to all of them either. There's the baby kangaroos. They also had a couple or 3 of those around there for pets.
I don't think we took any of those to New Guinea.
No.
There's the one with his sore foot. This is C Company camp, and this is Townsend's tent and Joe Brown's tent. They put them together with a fly in between, and they had themselves a veranda. They're living high there.
Yeah, that was a mansion.
There's the C Company officers' mess. And there's the Chinaman the boys were building, partially constructed. There's a sample of the Australian flies. They stuck on you like glue.
Yeah. Every time you went to take a mouthful to eat, you had to brush them away, and then you're lucky you didn't get some.
Right. Those pictures were Tony's pinup girls over the top of the table. Here goes the Chinaman. It's built now, and they're all into place. Typical Chinaman over there was constructed with just a hole in it, and the truck would pull under it, and the bulldozers would bulldoze the gravel through the hole in the Chinaman down into the truck. But somebody in C Company got the bright idea that why hold up the truck while 4 or 5 bulldozers made a trip up to it. Why not just do it all at once? So they put doors on the bottom of it and a handle on there, and trucks would pull underneath there, and the boys would pull the handles and load the truck in about 2 seconds, and he'd get out of there, and the bulldozers would keep filling it up. We went out and visited a cattle station there. The owner that's the owner there, and Joe Brown and Tony and I went out to visit with him one day. Beautiful cattle station, beautiful buildings, and not beautiful people. Those are the Abels, and they were sure ugly, but they sure good people. There's Julius the Squeezer, an 8-foot python or boa, I don't know which. It was one of the squeezer types.
Sergeant Braun's pet.
Yeah, Sergeant Braun's pet. We have another one over there somewhere, and a guy carried it around under his shirt for a while until it bit him one day.
That little Tex.
Huh?
Tex.
Tex? Hayes?
Mm-hmm, he had it.
Wait, I didn't think he was the one that got bitten.
Well, I don't know that he got bitten.
Somebody
he
did.
took that thing, and then he'd go into the bar in those pubs, you know, and then he'd get that head out of there, and they just open up for him. Yeah, you bet.
There's Hollifield trying to catch himself a possum.
Yeah, look at old.
He just can't get over those Mississippi ways.
Yeah, you got him down. Can't keep him down.
Yeah, the dogs put him back up again.
Possum's about like sea company. You can't keep him down.
I hope sea company wasn't that mangy.
No, that's right.
We're out hauling gravel on Wilson Aerodrome, which was Sea Company. They moved Sea Company down about 20 miles south of Catherine there. By this time I was company commander of Sea Company after Dave Scaff left, and we were putting out gravel through that Chinaman there. We were putting out gravel at the rate of 1,500 yards a day, which was unheard of in our regiment or any place else over there as far as that goes. We really did put out the gravel. Unfortunately, they pulled us off of the strip and shipped us out before we got it finished. There's the handles that open the gates.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a lot of opening and closing went on in those old girls to get the gravel out that we run through those.
That's for sure. Pulling a ripper around in the gravel pit there. There's a blanket lizard. Who the hell is that?
I can't see who that was there, and it should have been. That was a pretty good picture too, but I'm sure that some of them don't know who they are, but they're having more fun than the lizard, I think.
Yeah, everybody that finds themselves in these pictures ought to let us know who they were, and then we can re-narrate this thing.
Yeah, because they're...
Show everybody and give their names.
I think I saw Clark there in one of those pictures too. I'll tell you.
I saw Munis in that picture.
Yeah, Munis was in there. Some of you guys watch these pictures, and you'll see that when you sit down here and try to watch and narrate it, that it's a little tough to try to pick them out that quick.
40 years later.
Yeah, 40 years later, that's right.
But 45 or
Yeah,
more.
I guess that's right.
46, this was 1942.
Yes, that's right.
46 years later.
We're really moving the gravel.
Yeah, we hauled the gravel in the turnip hole up and dumped it in front of the Chinaman, and then the bulldozers would doze it in. Anything that would work, we used. Each one of those little humps there is another load of gravel. Just partly been spread out by the road grader. You can see how many thousands of truckloads are out there. we didn't have very many trucks.
No,
I don't remember how many we had in the company. It wasn't very many.
I don't remember either now.
There's Townie, Lieutenant Townsend standing up there on top of the thing. And I think that's Clark from that bulldog.
That looked like it, yeah.
That's Joe Wishop with his command car.
Yeah, there's a 15,000 miles, yeah.
There's a picture of the Wilson Aerodrome that we were working on. We didn't get any part of it done. We're part of the taxiways, part of the hard stands, part of the runway. Didn't give us enough time. At that time, the 49th Fighter Group that was up there were operating on some of the aerodromes we built and others that had gotten the Japs run off of Timor, so they decided it was time for us to move on too. This is taxiway here, going around the corner into the hard stand. There's a hard stand with a gravel poured but not spread. I think that's the way we left a lot of them.
Yeah, they just pulled out and let her set. I wonder if they ever did anything more with them.
I don't know.
Partially spread gravel there.
I know we had that runway partly built when some Australian plane came in there and landed and made an emergency landing. He was a fabric plane, and he pulled over to the side, and one of the lieutenants decided that all that big high grass around him, dry grass, was dangerous, so he lit a match to it and burned the plane up. You remember that?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going to tell you who it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'd forgotten about it until you mentioned it.
Sure did. Burned the plane to the ground.
Yeah.
This is our last trip through the Chinaman. They'd given us move orders by now, and after the rest of the boys moved out and up the road, why, Wishart and I went down around and made a trip around the runway and through the taxiways. And these are the operations buildings that we built with the revetments around the operations buildings, so if they got bombed, they wouldn't bomb the buildings. And this wasn't part of it. That was the officers taking a bath. And then I got a plane ride after we went up the road a little ways. We stopped in a Manbaloo, and an Aussie there gave me a plane ride around back down to see Wilson Aerodrome. We came in and landed on Wilson here, and as you can see, it isn't finished, but it was big enough to land on with that little plane we were in. I think it was a little de Havilland. And we went around and flew around, and there's the taxiway. There's the operations huts there at the end of that road. Put a road from the runway out a ways into the bush. Put the operations huts for the runway, for the airport. Then we flew over Catherine Gorge, gorge of the Catherine River. Real pretty from the air.
Yeah.
There's Catherine Gorge. Used to go down there once in a while and dynamite the fish. Have us a fish dinner.
Yeah, you bet. Get a few guys downstream to catch them when they come up.
Well, I'll tell you, we ate a lot of fish out of that river.
It was better than most of the stuff we'd been eating for quite there.
You tape a couple of sticks of dynamite on the side of a hand grenade and throw it in the water.
Yes.
Half a dozen guys along the stream and throw it in the stream, and boy, I'll tell you, fish came out of there by the millions. This is Manbaloo coming back into land. Now this is after we struck camp. Why, somebody decided there was too much grass around the tent, so somebody lit the grass and it burned up Joe Brown's tent. He was mad on hell because I got my camera and took pictures of him. It's too late to do anything about the burning tent.
Well,
He didn't see it that way. This is on the road to Darwin from Catherine. Truck convoy. Pretty soon we'll start passing ant hills. The dang ant hills are 4 feet through and 10 feet high, all the way along the road up to Darwin. There was one there.
yeah. There were some huge ant hills up there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, bush country's all alike.
Hollow trees. Termites got all those trees hollowed out, you know. All but the conifer. They didn't seem to bother the conifer trees.
That's funny. The termites got into all our lumber that we had around camp, and you could be sitting there eating or something at a table made out of their lumber, and you lean over and you listen, you could hear the termites chewing in the wood.
away.
The legs ever fall off?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, back then. Now we're getting into Darwin.
Yeah, coming into Darwin.
What's left after the Japs got through working her over?
Yeah, Darwin was just across a little leg of the sea there from Timor, where the Japs had a big air base station on Timor. They really ruined Darwin. Of course, all the civilians have been evacuated months ago. It was a nice town before. It was beautiful.
Yeah, a nice little town.
Some of the buildings were beautiful.
6th Division left out of Aussie 6th Division left out of Darwin when they went to Middle East, and one of the guy told me I rode on a plane with one time, and he was equivalent to one of our legislators, I suppose a parliamentarian they call him, whatever. But anyway, he was telling me that 6th Division, they were worried about when they brought them back what they were going to do with them. Well, when they came back, they set them up to do Guinea to keep handling them. They didn't know what to do with them. They didn't have much control over them unless they kept them up.
That's the shore battery having target practice out there. They got a boat pulling a target, and the shore battery is practicing shooting at them. Those other things you see out there in the water are sunken ships. The Japs came in and sunk about a dozen of our ships in Darwin Harbor. We stayed there a short time in Darwin and then shipped out by Liberty ship. I forgot the name of the Liberty ship.
I don't remember it either now. The old ships that set on the bottom in the harbor, you know, when the tide would go down, some of them get there on the bottom. Set there. They had a terrific tide.
This is the bank. Didn't we put up a bivouac there in the
I
bank?
think that's where it was. It was this bank building.
There was Sweeten standing there and looking around the post.
Yeah.
You can see all the bullet marks. The Japs not only bombed the heck out of Darwin, they just strafed it to death.
They didn't intend for anybody to move back in right quick.
Nope, they had a good time there, I guess. I don't know how many civilians lived through this, if any of them were still there.
I remember getting some piece of literature from home afterwards that said that the damage in Darwin was minor and about 9 people or something like that were killed or injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minor. Well, maybe all were injured. Maybe that's all that was left there.
Yeah. Well, I remember my folks sending me that. Of course, I couldn't write back and tell them anything else,
No.
which it didn't make any difference anyway.
They wouldn't have gone past the censor.
No.
There we are, leaving Darwin Harbor on the Liberty ship. I don't have the name of that one. Packed on that ship like sardines.
I see those faces on there and they look familiar and I just don't have time enough to, you just can't try and pick them out. Yeah,
There's one of the ships on the side.
that Liberty ship that we were on was quite a living quarters, as I remember.
Yeah, there's one of the ship in the background there. All you can see is the mast,
Yeah,
the smokestack, I
stack
guess,
sticking out, yeah.
and some of the lighter gear sticking out of the water. It's sitting flat straight up, I guess.
I think there were 3 of them that sat up like that.
I don't know.
As I remember, there were 3 of those things.
We had GI cots and bedrolls everywhere on that ship, I think.
Yeah, we were.
There's our half track. We had to set up with everybody on the.
We had to set up
man the guns on a half track all the time.
cook's kitchen. We had to set up a cook so the cooks could cook on there. And toilet facilities were bad too on there. They weren't made for. I think we used porta toilets on there if I remember right.
There's treadmill, I think. There's Captain Moore hiding his under the sheet there. Joe Albert was there too. I don't know if I caught him just right or not. This is Thursday Island.
Yeah.
We pulled in at Thursday Island there and hung around there a day or two, as I recall.
Yeah, sat out there waiting for the Japs to come over.
There's an Australian Corvette that was our escort. There's ship's officers.
Little old Corvettes looked like a rowboat almost out there, you know.
Yeah.
That was our protection.
Well, we had our half traps, man.
Yeah. We had those ready to go. You gotta be young to go through those things, you know, like that.
I don't think anybody worried much.
No, nobody thought anything about it. You just, you know, it was just part of the deal.
Well, they used to worry.
No. That's why it wouldn't do to have a lot of older people in there because they think first, you know. We do something then think,
No, name all of those.
oh,
There's Evanberger.
Yeah, and tell you,
There's an A company.
I look at one and jump to the other one.
There's a good
Somebody
sunburn.
got blistered.
I did.
Oh, yeah, that's you, yeah.
I really got burned.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a PBY flying over.
Yeah.
Keeping track of sub. Now we're in Armstrong Paddock in Townsville.
Townsville.
There's
yeah.
Lieutenant Coster.
Coster.
There's I.
Yeah.
Look like Joe Brown there.
Yeah. Keister and yeah,
That's me.
you and Keister.
Yeah. There's a couple of the local gals that work for the government. Winnell. There's a Winnell and a WAF there. Some of our planes flying over. We didn't see any Jap planes while we were there. There's Townsend trying out his new space gear. I guess. Brown having
That's Brown.
a good laugh at it anyway.
Yeah.
I bet it doesn't keep it on long. He'd sweat to death.
Oh man, those things be hot.
There's some quail running around there in Armstrong Paddock. We were down along the beach just out of Townsville. Some of the eucalyptus trees that the koala bears eat on. Well, there we are hard at work. Every place we stopped, somebody figured out something that we ought to be doing, so we built 4 of these Air Force storage facilities, and they were big. I don't remember the exact dimensions on them, but they were big. Each platoon had one to build, and then we wound up building 4 before we left there. I don't remember these guys' names. Bill can't tell me either.
That one there looked to me, I said that was one I thought might be Glen True, but I don't know.
No, that isn't Ken.
Wasn't Glen. By George, I'm telling you, you just can't see.
Well, I'll tell you, those guys are in shape, aren't they?
You bet. You betcha.
Hey, was that Zarbach that ran that mixer? I think it was. I think that's he right there.
Yeah, I believe it was old Zarbach.
I think so. We poured big foundations and then put those pre-stressed girders up and then the roof on there. And each one we built with a different kind of a floor. This is, we were sailing around taking pictures out of the command cars we're driving, which you shouldn't do. But we did. It's around the town of Townsville. There's another one of the Air Force. She's a WWII. She's a friend of Joe Brown's. We picked her up there and took her for a buggy ride. That's looking out at Townsville Harbor. There's always a batch of ships parked out in Townsville Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
While we were there, nothing ever happened to any of them. I guess Joe's driving a command car there with that WWII alongside of him.
Giving him directions.
Yeah. Yeah, she had to tell him where to go. We didn't know where anything was around there. You see the barrier reef off there a ways, some places. There's Joe. There's an airfield just out of Townsville there. The planes used to fly back and forth from New Guinea, land there, first landing on the continent. There's one of the dingo pups. A little more grown up, but not quite all the way.
Curious stage.
I think that's the only one we wound up with permanently. This is a look at some of our equipment we had sitting around there. We didn't use much equipment when we were working on those hangars.
No.
Just trucks getting back and forth and the cement mixers and stuff. They weren't hangars actually, they were storage hangars, they weren't for planes. And there's Kester and Donald Main. And who's that?
I did.
Wolf? Forgot who that was, ran the air compressor.
Schultz.
No,
Wasn't it? I think that was Schultz.
no.
Earl Schultz?
There's a beautiful garden. They had a lot of beautiful gardens there in Townsville. Anything could grow there. It was tropical and put a little water on anything and it'd grow like the devil in that place. They took great pride in their stuff too. Notice every house is built on stilts. There's a typical Aussie mowing the lawn in his bare feet. Had to take off his glasses and his hat so he could take his picture. He's kind of vain. You think he'd have put on his shoes, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you're not. Look at his shoes again. There's mascot washing time. And there again, it's just terrible hard to catch those faces.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people will recognize themselves in these pictures if we can't remember their names.
It's just.
We're sorry about that.
Yeah, it's really tough to try to figure out with those pictures going by that fast.
There's Townsend and Moore looking over one of the Air Force buildings we're building.
The old steamroller.
There's Aunt Nellie.
Yeah.
So this must be the 1st Platoon's hangar they're building. I think they built a soil cement floor on theirs.
I think Gebhardt run that old roller.
Water tank.
Yeah, it must be water in the floor of the compactor. Well, I suppose.
Yeah, we put gravel down and
Yeah,
mixed
water
cement with it
down
and
and
then
rolled
poured
it in.
water to it and compacted it. There's the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's Lieutenant Coster. I think that's Kaufman that's with him. He's his supply sergeant. Actually, was our supply man.
Yeah.
He was like Dave Scaff. He could get anybody out of anything, anytime, any place. I'm looking over our accumulation. We accumulated a lot of equipment when we were in Townsville there. Any equipment that was loose that we thought we could use, we took.
Requisitioned it.
Yeah. There's mixing up the cement and the gravel on the soil cement floor.
Was that Clark?
No, I didn't look like Clark to me. Don't know who it was though. They go by so fast.
Well, I'll tell you, it's tough to.
That's Tibbetts, isn't it?
Sneed. Tibbetts.
Tibbetts.
We used
Yeah.
to call him General Sneed. General Sneed bumped him on a plane one time when he was going someplace, see, and so after that we always called him General Sneed. That was how he got that.
I didn't hear that before.
Yeah, he was going and he got bumped.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, that's where he picked up that name Sneed. I guess after that, that's about all you heard him called.
You can see the beams there. There's some of them there. They're up.
I'm trying to remember what
they're prefab.
Called that.
There's Tommy Manners. He was a heck of a good cement finisher. In fact, he was good at about anything you gave him, to tell the truth.
Him to do.
He was one heck of a construction man.
I just wonder how many of these guys would like to have the figure in the bills now that they had in those days.
Yeah.
They were hard, boy. Those guys worked.
Well, I'll say, boy, there's no fat on any of those
No,
birds.
sir.
Go out and look at the Army.
There now.
That almost looks like Sergeant Chester, but I can't imagine it on that speed. Couldn't be.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you.
Go out to Lowry or someplace. We shop at Lowry a lot. When we go out there, you look at those guys compared to these guys.
Yeah.
There's quite a difference in that physique.
Yeah.
There's Sergeant Mitchell on the left.
Yeah.
He didn't know that was he until I told him.
Yeah.
He didn't know he's ever that skinny. You ought to see him now.
Yeah.
There's an Aussie that was one of our aides or something. That was Captain Moore and Lieutenant Townsend.
Yeah. There's Tex. Old Tex is back.
There's another Aussie that worked with us. I don't know who that was. I should know him.
I remember one piece of road we built down there.
There's Sergeant Kring and
Yeah.
Sweeten and Lieutenant Coster.
Yeah. And we poured rock in and never, you know, that old
Yeah.
spongy soil.
Just
And
kept
never,
going down.
never could get it. There's Katarowski and Neil, Jesse Neil,
Yeah,
and
I can't remember him.
I just can't.
The guy on the left, he was our orderly for a while.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name. This is inside the mess hall. This is the day that the officers took the day off and went down to see the beach and the park, the city park. Joe Brown, Moore, Lyman Moore, Clyde Townsend.
Looking down the barrel of the old cannon.
Oh yeah, World War I cannon or something.
Yeah, something.
There's the bay there, and you can see all along the shoreline is lined with barbed wire. In case somebody comes in at night and tries to land, they get caught in the barbed wire. That's some beautiful trees there.
Yeah.
Coconut palm, date palms. That's a World War I memorial to the Australian soldiers that got killed in World War I.
Great War.
1914 and 1918. I guess they were in it
Yeah.
5 years and we were in it for about one. We lost a heck of a lot of people in just 1 year.
You bet.
How many percent of their population they lost in 5?
They had a high percentage of their men under arms in World War II when you consider the amount of total population of that
They sure did.
place, and then all of the people they had, yeah.
This is the Townsville swimming hole. The only place along the whole coastline where those guys could go swimming because it had shark inhibitors. Keep the sharks out of the swimming pool. The rest of it you can see barbed wire to keep the Japs off in case they wanted to land. All that was to keep the damn sharks out. Always a clown at Cosmo.
Yeah.
He lives in Phoenix now, I think.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's right. I believe I did notice in the roster he was.
We're out checking over the foliage again. There's old Sergeant Maine with his homemade washing machine. Put a big gasoline blowtorch underneath the bottom of it and turn the handle. Wash your clothes. Did a good job though. Now we're at the Thanksgiving party. Somewhere along the line I got acquainted with somebody there in the town hierarchy that had access to all the females in town, so we decided to have a Thanksgiving party. We sent our trucks to town, and that guy had every gal in town lined up to get in that truck and come out. I don't know how many truckloads we had. There was a lot of girls there.
A good time was had by all.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure of that.
They,
I don't know where anybody got the booze, but there was a lot of booze flowing to that party too.
yeah, it's a wonder where it ever come from. Ah.
A lot of food. think we used one of the town's buildings that was sort of a pavilion, was made for this sort of thing. It was sure a nice party though. We had a band, the whole works.
Yeah, quite a deal.
Well, back to Armstrong Paddock.
Yes.
We must have had a little booze left from the party.
Something left over, yeah. Had to get rid of it.
I don't know if that's beer or, it must be beer, it couldn't be wine.
Probably beer.
I don't think I'd have drunk any of that if it was wine.
How about bourbon?
Nah,
No,
Not like that.
never had any bourbon over there. I don't think we ever saw any while we were around there. Don't drink and drive.
Should have had more pictures of the party.
Yeah. Notice it rains over there.
boy, there's the modern plumbing.
Yep, Captain Moore with his deluxe accommodations. He had his tent right by ours out at Armstrong Paddock. The regiment left him there to run the local headquarters with a sedan and a tent. I don't know where he moved to after we pulled out. I don't think he stayed at Armstrong Paddock after we left.
I'm sure he didn't.
There's inside the tent. Looks like one of the guys got a package from home. He's got it under his bunk.
Mm. No,
That was some good photography there, not realizing that you can't take pictures indoors. I don't even know what's in the picture. Except Joe Brown shining his shoes.
Yourself, if anybody else comes up with better pictures, let us show them.
well, there's probably not going to be much better because the circumstances and one thing and another, just the equipment you were using in those days is just not what you get today either.
That's for sure. Today you'd have a camcorder
Yeah, you betcha.
and you'd be getting the sound with it.
Yeah.
And that'd be sitting here putting a sound on this
No,
picture.
that's right.
Yeah, you know, there was one other guy that had a camera over there. In fact, he went overseas with it. 8mm movie camera, and that was Colonel Brahms. But I never did see any of his pictures.
No, I never did either.
There was a picture earlier on this sequence there that showed him up on top of that hill there in Northern Territory taking pictures with his movie camera. But nobody ever saw any of them. I don't know what he did with them.
I don't know either.
I guess they were just for his eyes. Actually, I had to make sure that he had the camera on him before he got out of the Jeep.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, there you.
He's talking to Nancy there. He's talking to Louise. I wound up getting quite a bit of extra film when I was in Townsville, so I took a lot of pictures that didn't really have much to do with the outfit or the war or anything else. So Sort of a waste of film, but the gals appreciated them when they saw them at home.
Yes.
They're Sergeant
Tribble,
Tribble.
isn't it?
Yep. We're getting ready to take off. And this is, what did I do? We got on the ship and went out and parked in the harbor New Year's Eve, didn't we?
Yeah.
So this must be about December 31st of 1942. We're loading aboard the
There they come on, and it's hard to even catch them there because they. Kebby. That was Kebby. That's the one that went through there. I was trying to think of before. That was
Kibby, right.
Yeah.
There's the Aussie sitting on the dock. There's Lyman Moore waving goodbye to us with his Aussie buddy, who's assigned to the 43rd. So we pulled out into the harbor on the afternoon of December 31st and stayed in the harbor overnight. Along with a lot of other ships that are always out in that harbor.
Celebrated with Mueller's medical alcohol.
I don't know why I didn't get in on that.
This was just enlisted men. We didn't let the officers in on that.
Yeah. That's how you were.
Yeah.
There's a fellow there that we had some trucks on the ship that were the quartermaster outfits trucks, and they put one guy to look after their trucks on the way up. And this was the guy. And when we heard they put one guy to watch all those trucks, we just laughed till we saw that son of a gun. We quit laughing. Look at them muscles. He could have taken care of all of those trucks. Very nice.
Held them up, knocked their heads together.
Right. There's the rain gear that you saw earlier.
Yeah.
Kind of hung down the crotch a little, I think.
Yeah.
You know, they picked up that black fellow later on in the USO, and they took him around to some of the USO shows they were putting on the island, and they had him behind a screen with a light behind him, standing up flexing his muscles. And I saw that in one of those shows where he was flexing his muscles on the screen.
I'll tell you, he had them to flex, that's
He
for
sure
sure.
did. He sure did.
We were in better shape when we were down the Strand than after we were up in New Guinea for a while because so many of them got malaria up there.
Oh yeah.
That really knocked the socks out for quite a while.
I'll say.
We had a pile of guys laid up till we got wised up a little bit about how to take care of the darn situation.
Mm-hmm. So now we're headed out towards Port Moresby in a convoy. Now we're at Port Moresby. Boy, that was a fast trip.
I remember when
We landed in Port Moresby on January 4th, 1943.
And I remember when we got out there and we got on a little old sloop or something to come in from that ship in there.
Yeah.
And then an air raid siren went off, and I never felt so doggone cooped up in my life. We were all packed down there just like a bunch of sardines in this little old sloop. And you know, if you were out where you had, but there you were. But luckily they nothing ever materialized.
All you could do is pray a lot.
You bet.
Couldn't hide, you couldn't do anything but
You
pray.
had company right close to you. You weren't alone, that's for sure. In that place, and that was really something. That place.
Yep. So we offloaded off the Liberty ship onto the shore there in Port Moresby and visited E Company, who were at Fort Moresby building the Haranda Airstrip. And then after a short time there, Sergeant Mitchell, his platoon, plus another squad out of headquarters, or out of one of the other platoons,
Third platoon.
flew over to Dobadora, and the rest of us loaded on the Melora. On the 19th, we sailed out of Fort Moresby Harbor on the Melora, which was a Dutch freighter, a small Dutch freighter. We had all our equipment on there, and underneath the equipment was nothing but ammunition. So we were loaded for nothing, all that ammunition on the bottom of us. And then we get around, we stopped in Milne Bay overnight, and then we went on around to the north side of, I guess the northeast side of New Guinea there, and got stuck on a coral reef and spent a couple of nights and days on a coral reef, watching for the Japs to arrive. Fortunately, they didn't. Finally, another ship came along and towed us off the coral reef. And these are all seasoned on Fort Moresby there, the few days we were there. We got a lot of pictures of the goings on there, because that was a busy place.
Lieutenant Townsend, at that time, Lieutenant Townsend was platoon commander, and our job was up there was to go out and work on that old transport strip and get it ready get rocks out, holes filled with shovels, and so that was it. That was the equipment.
You took along some farmall mowers, tractor mowers.
Yeah.
To mow the kuna grass.
Yeah. We also they brought up a small road blade that they'd cut down enough and taken apart and cut down enough to get into transport, and then welded her back together again up there. That was the H&S had they, because they were, yeah, man, hundreds and hundreds of those old girls that in and out of there.
Boy.
Just in and out.
There's what won the war, those C-47s.
You betcha.
Oh, we're building a fighter strip.
Yeah.
This Matt arrived on those planes you just saw landing. And Sergeant Mitchell at that point still had the detail of unloading the planes with a native crew plus a few of his own men. He laid this mat on the fighter strip.
I'll tell you then the oil, the gas, 55-gallon drums, and then the base, the Tarvia base, or bituminous base would come in 55-gallon drums. All of that stuff would come in to mixed to make your blacktop.
Yeah.
And all that was flown. Every bit of that stuff was flown in on those, and we manhandled it in the planes down below and then out up above. Those up there manhandled all of that, and on it, then hauled it out, and then took it and manhandled that stuff, all of that.
Yeah.
Every one of those strips there, of course, were loaded and unloaded by hand and put together, and I tell you, there was a tremendous amount of work involved in that stuff. But one of those planes one day come in, I'll never forget it, and they had loaded plank on the bottom and set 10 barrels of stuff on top, and he was supposed to have either one or the other. And the pilot, I said to him, "Why, you're doubled up here." I said, "You got a double load." He said, "I wondered why I couldn't hardly get that damn plane off of the ground," he said, "down there in Moresby." He just absolutely doubled up. Yeah, here they'd set the barrels on. Of course, I don't know what he was doing that he ever let him do it. You know, he wasn't paying any attention.
He probably wasn't paying any attention to
No,
what they
he
were
just
putting on
didn't
there.
pay-
He thought he walked in a plane and took off.
He just,
Yeah, look at those
yeah,
feet.
those are the big old feet. Tried to put shoes on them, they couldn't find shoes big enough to wear, and
We gotta own a bunch of bomb trailers to haul the natives around on.
Yeah.
Boy, that fighter strip kinda saved our bacon over there on that
Oh.
side of the island, and after we got that 49th Fighter Group, they flew in the first squadron, which is P-40s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't remember which squadron it was. They had the
I
7th
don't
and 8th and
even know.
9th.
Yeah.
I think the 8th was P-40s.
I believe
7th
it
was P-39s, and the 9th was P-38s. The first one, I think, was P-40s that came in. Boy, that sure kept the Japs away from there for a while.
Yeah. There's those.
Yeah, you see the oil sticking to their feet.
Yeah, that bothered them too. There was something about that. They couldn't take that very good.
Probably softened their soul.
Boy, those natives are workers.
Well, you see,
Better get gloves for them to handle that damn
one time
steel mesh with,
there-
steel mat with.
when they, in that Bismarck sea battle there, when General Kenny, you know, told us we had 72 hours to finish that one strip, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
And they just said, well, who was the commanding officer then? Colonel. I was trying to think who was the commanding officer then. Colonel at that time.
Of our outfit?
Yeah.
Colonel Lane?
Was it Lane then when that guy that came back, they called him over and General Kenny told him, you know, we had that, and he said we can't do it in that length of time. And he said, well, you better, and then told him all these ship convoy was out there.
I think it was Colonel Lane.
I believe it was too. Anyway, we worked day and night for a lot of us, never went to bed. And I remember at 4 o'clock that morning we pulled off of there, and 6 o'clock they started flying the planes there, and I'm going to tell you, we did lots of work in that time, but that saved our necks.
Now, this is down on Santa Ana Beach here. Maxie Coster and I took a trip down there in a Jeep to look over Santa Ana Bay, Santa Ana Beach. This is the graveyard of before the GIs that took it in on the little chin there. There was thousands of Jap skeletons around there and Jap skulls. That was a native village there. That Santa Ana Beach, that was quite a battle.
See that?
The little pickaninnies never wore a damn thing until they got to be
No.
a few years old. Then I guess after that they didn't wear anything above
No.
the waist, whether they're male or female.
No.
They're gentle people.
Yeah. What used to always amaze me was if there was a. Go ahead.
That used to be a coconut grove,
Yeah.
but all the Japs, when we were trying to move through there, the Japs had a goddamn sniper on the top of every one of those trees. So the only thing that happened was that our guys just sat there and blew the tops off all the trees before they could go through there. Now, this is a bomb shelter and a Jap plane that got ditched there, got downed there. There's some of the P-40s.
When you think about those guys, you know, flying those things, and they, you know, that they did pretty well, I'll tell you now.
I'll say, another cemetery. After we saw a few of these cemeteries, we sure were glad we were in the engineers. It wouldn't have been a healthy place to have been in it. infantry over there about that time. Keep your eye on this guy.
Yeah, he wants it to. Now she's gonna put him up there. Now he's there. She's gonna fix him there.
There he goes.
He's
Who that was on the bulldozer? He's pulling a turner or a carry-all there. I think this place was too damn wet to get any heavy equipment
Yeah.
in. So we had to do all the ditching by hand.
yeah. They take their old bare feet and push those spades and shovels down in there. You know, my bottom of my feet just hurt when I think and see them do
Their
that.
bare feet were probably tougher than the bottom of your
Yeah,
shoes.
my soles are. And they go up those old trees and walk up those and like nothing.
According to my notes, by this time we had 400 planes operating out of the area there.
Yeah,
Because by this time we'd built several strips.
yeah.
There's the old Jap roller number 53 that we got the engine out of to build a sawmill.
Yeah, that's right. And then they griped about later on because we hadn't gotten a requisition through the proper channels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get it through the proper channels.
I think that was Lieutenant Bratton there. This is our parachute drying tower that we built. You hang up the parachutes inside of that thing and they have the air going in the bottom and out the top to dry them. It's so damn moist over there and damp all the time. They had an awful time trying to dry their parachutes to roll them up.
You had two pairs of shoes and wear one pair one day and one pair the next day to dry them out. That's because the ones that were in particularly when we were first up there, they'd mold on you in your clothes. What you wore is what you didn't mold.
Yeah. Those natives over there always seem to be on the move. Every time you look around, you'd see them going with all their belongings in that little sack they carried on their forehead.
Always moving someplace.
Well, that plane's been around.
You bet.
A lot of Jap planes and ships shot down.
Yeah.
I think this is the plane junkyard there
Yeah.
we're looking at.
Yeah. They stripped.
There, this is Kalamazoo Day. Those are holes in our command car that Alicia and I were out to on a strip. We were at the control tower, and Jap planes came over, and this was on March the 10th, 1943. Blew a bunch of holes in the command car. Didn't hurt us any because we were in a foxhole alongside the command car. But we lost. Who was the road grader operator that got?
Bender.
Bender got lost.
We
on
got a
that,
B company.
And Sergeant
Mackey.
Mackey from B Company got lost.
And
We lost several men.
We
on
lost
that plane,
several.
that raid.
Yeah.
Nobody knew those planes were coming over, and they were about 35,000 feet high. And they just cut loose and bombed the hell out of our strip. And when they crossed the end of the fighter strip and crossed the strip 4, they got a bunch of P-38s that were trying to take off to get them.
Yeah, they didn't get very much of anything up. They knocked the strip out.
Yeah, we had a lot of excitement there for a while.
We had to go out and patch that metal and so you can take out that stuff and then put new pieces in because it blew up.
Yeah.
Just knocked the strip out of use.
Yep. We had to rush out there and fill the holes and get the old metal out of the way and put in new steel
Hope we
mat.
get them done until before they come back again because you never knew.
There's some of the militia, the native militia.
But every moonlight night you knew you were gonna get bombed to some degree. They didn't mostly harassing.
Yeah,
You know, just to keep you.
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, to keep you up.
Some nights they'd fly around there with a big spotlight going on the ground, and just fly around and
Yeah,
on,
just-
shine it on the ground.
Just to harass you, you know, and keep you.
Keep you going.
Well, yeah.
And one night they did that, I was out on the strip, and I got over to the side of the strip and hit the ground, and every time that light would pass over me, I'd shrink into the ground further, or try to. This is some of their native taro roots they're carrying around. They say they carry all of their belongings, all their food supply, and everything they own is right there.
Yeah.
That family right there has got everything they own.
When they stop, why they'll have her there.
There's a control tower we built. I was up on top of that when those planes came over. Didn't take long for us to get down at the bottom of that into that hole in the ground.
Yeah.
B-38s have arrived by now. This is a 9th squadron of the 49th Fighter Group. Boy, they were some plane.
Yeah, we really thought we had something then when we got those up there.
Building a corduroy road. Some places it just straight bog. There was no way out or around or over or through them, but build a corduroy road. After we got some airplane map there to put on those corduroy roads, they weren't too bad.
No, that's right.
Put those steel planks longitudinally with the road, and it made a pretty good runway.
I remember I was on a detail one time, take crew band up, and we had a barge come in up on there, and we unloaded the stuff and brought it back down there, and I believe we were 48 hours, if I remember right, moving that stuff from off of that barge. About 12 miles all told, I think. We had a bunch of that corduroy road to go over, and we went into muck. We had those old half tracks, and then the old Aussie had that old tank they'd stripped out, you know. We'd pull those road graders and stuff through there. We'd pull out with a winch them through. Wading in muck clear your waistline printer. I'll tell you, all the time we were up on the coast along there, we didn't know when we were going to get bombed or straight because the Japs had control up there yet. And
Sure did.
we had to get down in to come in, and we got I don't remember who, Ratliff or somebody was running a D6, and they had a Laterno on there, on those carryalls on there, loaded with grader blades and all kinds of weight, and it got hung up out there. Killed the engine on the thing, and the wind was blowing so bad then on there, and the little starting engine wouldn't start. And we had a heck of a time. We finally got some stuff out of there, I don't know what it was, to get around it, and then lit fire in there to dry the plugs and stuff out to get that little engine going so we could get the diesel running again.
Here's the first sawmill we built.
Yeah,
A lot of pieces we'd scrounged from here and there, and
everywhere.
traded all my cigarette rations for about a year for all the parts. I didn't smoke anyway, so they weren't any use to me.
And you notice that old gal moves in those days, that moved through there pretty good, you know, when she was
Oh yeah.
sawing there, and we sawed a lot of lumber. The 5th Air Force had a mill that they'd sent over from the States that was a costly thing, and they never could begin to cut the lumber that we did with this thing.
That's Holman sitting there running the winch that pulls the.
Holman
We had a
was-
little winch motor that pulled that thing, and
He
then
was a
we
good
brought it
saw.
back with that rope over that pulley
See
over
that
there.
barrel drug her back.
Yeah, the barrel drug it back. I remember I had to climb that tree to put the barrel, the rope up between two trees up there to run a pulley on. They'll run that rope over there to pull that barrel up and down. Of course, I'd been a lineman before I was in the Army, so that didn't bother me any. I don't know that guy there, the Farland, I guess.
And I cannot.
We sure turned out a lot of lumber, that thing. Pretty soon, we were the only outfit in the South Pacific that were living in tents with frames and
Floors.
floors.
Boy, I tell you, we were uptown.
We sure were.
And,
There's Sergeant Randy Smith with his.
yeah, swedge and saw.
He took care of all the saws. They sharpened them and swedged them and the whole thing there for a long time.
We'd finally got where we'd take a truck and load some lumber on it and send it down to Ora Bay. I mean, and then they had the quartermaster down there, and the Kidderowski down there. He'd trade lumber for food. And man, I'll tell you, we ate a lot better than they had. A lot of stuff down there that we didn't even think about having, and we didn't even know they had in New Guinea until then.
There's a flight of planes coming in. They're peeling off one by one to land. I guess I didn't get very good pictures of them.
When I got back to the States here, I was, and afterwards, I always amazed that these people, these guys, they cussed about the J and K rations. I said, J and K rations? I never had J and K rations. All we ever had was C rations. We never got to the J and K ration. We never had a piece of jungle clothing. I never had a piece all the time I was over there. We never had jungle hammocks. We had all regular clothing that we went over there with, and you know.
Look at that, you don't need clothes.
No.
All you need is a jock strap and a pair of shoes.
Yeah, but the bugs eat you up.
I think that's Mr. Dahl on the on the road grader there.
Yeah, probably.
Boy, that guy could shave you with that thing.
Yeah. We had some good operators of equipment.
That's for sure.
The only thing we didn't have, we just didn't have ratings for enough for the guys that were doing the work. That you know that they could have been got ratings that they deserved, but there wasn't any there for.
Yeah. Yeah, General Service Regiment, like we were at this point, we had a platoon sergeant and squad sergeant, and other than that, everybody was a private.
That's
Boy,
right.
These guys came over in these aviation battalions from the States, and every damn band jack in the outfit was making more money than our platoon sergeants
That's
were.
right.
With their specialist ratings of being truck drivers and bulldozer drivers and so forth. And most of them couldn't even touch our guys for doing the work.
No. Couldn't hold a candle to them, most of them.
Well, more than 80s on the move.
Just constantly moved, you know.
Yeah.
Every day you would see someone moving someplace. You wondered where in the world they were going or where they came from.
Yep, another cemetery.
Yeah.
Her name liveth. This is back at our camp, and as you can see, we got all frames on all the tents and all floors.
And the old mixers.
Yeah, the old mixer. We must not be doing any concrete
No,
work
it's
here.
funny because they were busy most of the
There wasn't
time.
any cement around.
One time we dug a ditch for the trucks to run into and set the mixers up on top and run a chute so we could load the trucks. We were hauling mixed concrete before they had all these fancy trucks. Then back into those buildings and dump them and run them out there. We didn't have to wheelbarrow it then, you know, wait for that. C Company.
Payday.
Sheets.
Sergeant Sheets.
Yeah.
Sergeant Mitchell
Yeah,
and
Sweeten.
Sweeten. And Dwayne Harness is going to show up there in a minute, I think. He's another one of the company clerks, he and Sweeten.
Mm.
That's ours in Maine.
Yeah.
This looks like Wish It. There's Sharky, our welder.
Hmm.
Boy, he was a stellar welder. He always had that shark's
Yeah.
thing painted on his
Yeah.
welding helmet.
Yeah.
Got a welding helmet on the garage. Maybe I better put some shark's teeth on. I can weld better.
Yeah. We were always building something, you know.
That's the truth.
We were
That,
always building
that
something.
there looked like our logging truck.
Yeah, improvising, you
Yeah,
know.
we built the dang logging truck.
That's right.
Because we didn't come with one, but we had to have something to log with. Get all those logs in for the sawmill. That native logging crew, boy, could they log.
Yeah, you bet. They were good loggers.
Who were those?
After
This
the...
is the mess hall.
Yeah.
Look at those pies. Kedrowski must have been to borrow bags.
Yeah, he must have been down there to get that. That was a
It's a
rare...
pie filling.
You betcha. Look at there. Ah, boy.
It looks like applesauce.
Yeah. When the war kind of moved away a little, and then we started taking more trees out of our camping area, then those trees up there, you know, didn't root down. There was so much water, and then the black dirt was all on top, and then the trees would start falling over on the tents and stuff, you know. If you, it was really, you got to be really risky, you know. Where there'd be room enough for one to go. Before there wasn't, when we went in there, you know, we didn't have room enough to fall. See, that's why everything got so moldy. And we'd go in a clearing, and then, I mean, out of a clearing, and then go maybe through, and then if you camped in one place, you went on and made tracks on through into another place there, so it looked like, because when they'd take their reconnaissance planes over, you know, and to try to confuse them as to where you were. Then they went in and put an ammo dump right next to our camp one time, a bomb dump.
Right, that was a bomb dump.
Bomb dump, and that's how the jungles are. They were right next to us, and we didn't know it till after the Japs come in and dropped some bombs there one night. They knew where it was. They were after it. There was a bomb that went in under the end of one of those and burnt a hole in one of the bombs, but it was TNT, you know, and didn't go out. And just absolutely, when it went by, it just hot, you know, and just burnt it. And there it sat.
Those are our planes taking off.
Yeah.
Those are B-25s there.
Those are the old B-25s. I was telling you, they put them threes and take them in threes when they wanted to take a lot of them off in a hurry. Those big raids. We got to where we were running some pretty big raids out of those places up there, you know.
Yeah, they were doing that in that fighter strip, and that fighter strip's only 80 feet
You
wide.
betcha. And they just,
They didn't have much room, but they did it.
if the first plane would have conked, that'd have been three of them gone, plus the strip being tied up.
Mhm.
Chances you had to take.
Yeah.
One time they come in off of air raid, I remember, and they run short of fuel, and they were coming in, and some of those old B-25 were landing on taxi strips. I'll tell you,
Not
they had
any place they could
pilots,
land.
well, any place they could land. They just were running out of fuel. But those old pilots, you know, and those, I'm telling you, Well, those old transport pilots, you know, the first ones, they just flew by the seat of their pants, you know. And my gosh, they'd get off, but the first thing they wanted to do, yeah, first
That's a
thing,
P-40 there.
yeah, they wanted to do was get off into the air when there was an air raid coming. They wanted to get in the, and then get in the gap. Zeros never bothered them down in there because they couldn't, those old planes would fly, those C-47s would fly so slow and hang in there to where a Zero couldn't get a, you know, it was too dangerous, so they wouldn't get in there. Is that one of those with a 75 in it? No.
I don't see it.
No, it
Yeah,
isn't.
it's got machine guns out there.
Yeah.
I only
Right.
remember one there that came in with the 75 millimeter sticking out of the nose.
I had him sitting back there
boy.
one time. I went out, a guy.
That thing was dynamite,
Wasn't
they
it?
said.
I went out there and the guy that was crew chief on that plane showed me. Actually, they apparently didn't pan out too well. I guess they were just too much guns for the
Shook the
plane.
plane.
It just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
That'd
Shook
be
the hell
a
out of the
3-inch,
plane, but-
about a 3-inch gun, you know. It's like the 37 millimeters in those little old P-39s, you know, when they first come out with a 37 centimeter, you know, that doggone little plane could hardly take that.
Yeah. Well, I think this is one of Sergeant Rombeck's bridges he's building.
Yeah.
I don't know how many bridges he built over there, but he built a lot of them, and he built them right.
Yeah.
That's some of our sawmill lumber he's using
bet.
there. Couldn't build bridges like that
You
without that sawmill lumber out of just logs. We couldn't build a bridge like that. There goes a B-26. That's the first B-26s we saw over there. They brought in a squadron of them. Boy, were they a plane.
Why are you doing that?
Building a bridge.
What's he chopping it down for? He was shaving it down for, and just offhand, I wouldn't be able to tell you what, you know, there's so doggone many different things that it could be doing, but
There's drowning there.
yeah,
That's right there.
yeah.
Now we're back at the sawmill.
Yeah,
I think this is the bigger one that we built.
yeah, this is probably the big one.
This took bigger logs than the
Yeah.
others we had. We got some pretty good sized blades. When we went up there made a trip up to Lay with some more cigarettes and bought some bigger blades.
This is interesting because it's all things I've heard about.
Yeah.
the sawmill.
I'm not sure if it's taking because the boys are doing great.
It's
They're just real casual and real great.
we had, you know, crews that just that was their job every day, and go on there and do this, and I'll tell you, most of the time it got to the place where you didn't have to worry too much. The
Right.
work just went on.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you one thing about that outfit we had there. We had a lot of good sergeants out there that knew what they were doing, because sometimes we didn't have many officers, and when we did get them finally, some of them, they didn't know, you know, they were just out of the OCS or something, and they didn't really know that much about it. So we had a lot of good men in that outfit, a lot of good men. I'll tell you, most of them were good men.
Well, they should have been.
Yeah, they were
You know,
picked.
every damn man in that regiment
Picked.
was handpicked.
Up until we
What?
got the replacements of the 108th, then we kind of, but
Yeah.
up until then we'd had
Every man was handpicked out of 3 replacement centers: Fort Snelling, Leavenworth, and what's the one in St. Louis?
Jefferson Barracks.
Jefferson Barracks. We had 3 officers that stayed in those places until each one of them picked up 500 men. Handpicked.
Yeah, I never knew at the time. When I went through Fort Snelling, I didn't know at the time until afterwards, you know, because I didn't know any of the, but let's see, was, I believe Townsend was up there. wasn't
No.
he? No, wasn't either.
No.
No, who was up there? Stanley.
I don't know, Stumpy Stiver was at Leavenworth, and Elmer Clausen was at Jefferson Barracks,
Who was it?
and,
Snelling. But after I was down there, I
Okay,
knew,
who was it?
I'd seen him,
Snelling.
but of course, see, I was the last in the last group to come out of Snelling. Then they, or no, out of Sioux Falls. That's right. Then they didn't take any more out of Sioux Falls. They shipped them right direct to Snelling. The group I had was we come out of there, and then they shut down the Sioux Falls deal. Oh, those guys, you know, you just.
Yeah, by this time, we had a lot of replacement officers because
Yeah.
some of our experts and experienced officers had been picked up
Oh,
other
you
places by people that wanted.
PBY.
Yeah. Yeah, they sure did a job over there, those
Yeah.
PBYs. And there's Sergeant Main there, I think. Must be. I think we're in the motor pool again. Uh-huh. This must be August 7th, 1943, and they shipped in the 863rd Aviation Battalion, and they didn't have any work to do or anything because we had all the work done around there almost, or at least underway. So they assigned us a batch of 863rd trucks. And they did a good job for us too.
Yeah. There was Nelson.
There's
Walking
863rd. Oh, there's all the 2.5 ton trucks
Yeah.
are 863rds, and we're still piddling around with those damn little 1.5 ton
Yeah,
trucks.
I think that one walking
There's
across
Markovitz
was
there.
Yeah, Burton Nelson that was walking across there, out of Minnesota. He's in St. or Minneapolis now. Some in the city is one of them.
Now we're back in camp. I guess it looks like I was just coming from the shower, just going to it, one.
We'd put.
There's Bratton, Lieutenant Bratton.
Yeah.
He was one of the replacement officers we got.
Yeah. We'd put barrels up, you know, when we could, to where for the water to warm up for.
There's where we're fixing a hole in the runway.
Yeah. That must have been after that bombing raid. Then.
Well, no, this was quite a bit later. So it had to be another bombing raid we had, because this is.
Of course.
We didn't get those 63rd trucks until August.
That's right. Yeah, this.
About 4 months after we had that big raid.
We did have a few other
Yeah.
time to time there they put out. Yeah.
We've got some P-47s there now. 'Cause we got the P-47s, according to my notes, started coming in July 22nd. So we got some heftier planes around. I think we'll probably see some of them in a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a Liberator.
Yeah, Liberator coming in.
Yeah, we didn't see too many of those over there. We mostly had B-17s, but there's a P-47.
Yeah.
Field powerhouse. I wonder how one of those would look against an F-115 or something.
I'll tell you, I was just thinking that.
Who's that? You said I mentioned a while ago that.
Yeah, who I thought it was, now I can't think of it again now. That wasn't Markovitz, was it? He had
Maybe.
whiskers on. there in that picture you had, and I was just trying to think.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so either, really.
Oh,
One time I had, I thought about, I'll tell you. No, I'm sure that wasn't.
there's another B-26.
So girls had flown them and grounded them and then put them in the air again, There.
Yeah.
Most
They got grounded once completely.
Yeah,
They shipped some over there, boy, I'll tell you. Some of them did a real job over there, too. They started in Crane.
Yeah. And there's one.
What kind of plane was that on? It had 6 Japs. I think that was on a 47. There's another 26 off.
There's one.
There's Bong's
Bong's
plane.
plane.
That's a P-38.
Major Bong.
Bong flew. I think when he came back, he had 21 total killed.
Yeah.
He got 16 there.
Yeah, that one had gone a lot of missions.
He was either a hell of a pilot or luckier than hell. I don't know which. And one with 11.
When he came back to the States, he slipped on steps and got killed,
He did? I didn't know that.
I'm sure he's back in the States. I'm sure he slipped on some icy steps or something and got killed because I remember it was just almost, I believe Clyde told me that.
Oh? I didn't hear that.
But go through all of that.
Well, look at the bombing missions on that B-26.
Yeah, he had missions.
That's a B-25 there.
Yeah.
There's the old workhorse.
Yeah, that's it. Texas kid. Yeah.
There's a biscuit bomber. That has to be a C-47.
Yeah.
They used to bring our rations in that biscuit bombers. Drop them out, and Sergeant Mitchell had his crew out there and have to run around with these natives and pick them up out of the kunai grass.
Rations.
And all it was corn button and hardtack.
Yeah.
That was what it was, period.
Yeah. World War I type hardtack.
Yeah, it may have been left from World War I.
Yeah, and bully, instead of bully beef, was bully sheep.
Yeah, from Australia.
Yeah. And then the meat and the beans was sheep and beans, not beef like ours would have been. I'll tell you, they sheeped us to death.
They sure did that.
Then up in the Northern Territory, we built this refrigeration unit so they could cool their beef, but we never got a piece of beef out of it. Then we'd always move on before they'd ever use it.
That's right, we did build
Sure, don't you remember? We built that because what they used to do when we were there, they'd go out at night and slaughter it. We'd eat that meat the next noon. And, it took for a long time for guys to be accustomed to eating that green meat,
It was still hot. We're now on Morotai Island. This is one of the islands in the South Pacific there. By this time, the 43rd Engineer Regiment went down to near Sydney, Liverpool, out of Sydney, and got re-equipped and re-established, reorganized as a construction battalion. Also, Bill Mitchell, who's been helping narrate this, had went home on rotation, but he's still here with me now, so he's going to help me with the rest of this. So anyway, we built twin strips on Morotai, right close to the ocean. We knocked down coconut plantation to build it. And the place is overrun with planes and everything else. And a lot of Navy in here. Some of these planes leave the carrier and they don't have the fuel to get back to the carrier, so they come in here and stay overnight and fuel and get back to the carrier. Or however they get there, it seems like there's always a bunch of Navy planes here on Morotai.
Quite a difference from Dobadura, isn't there?
Yeah, this is all coral here. All the other aerodromes we were building out of mostly sand.
Yeah.
But we get up here and it's all coral. So it's a completely different way of building strips. That coral, after you set it down, it gets like cement. At this point, I was still engineer officer of the construction battalion, and as such, these fellows were under my jurisdiction, so I suppose I got a lot of pictures of them. I guess there's a plane that got wrecked.
Dragging it off.
Got quite a boneyard there. A lot of them come in so shot up that they crash when they land. We had a bulldozer do the same thing. It got in a big hump in a coral pit and turned over with a carryall behind it and killed the operator. That was about one of the only construction accidents we ever had over there.
When you consider all the things that were going on and all the men that were working, well, we probably had a pretty good safety record.
Yeah. The only other bad one I can remember is when the pulley blew up on the sawmill and nailed Herbie Haven. Went to the hospital and then home to the States.
Joby got
and Joby.
in the Chinaman.
Yeah, we using that Australian-built Chinaman down there in Oro Bay, and it crashed in on
Darwin
Joby.
lost a leg. Remember, we got Dalboom. He got a leg in the track of an 8 or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't get in on much of the fighting, but we still got a lot of accidents, I guess. There's Shin. He was in D Company at one time. Now he's back with us. All together as a battalion. Liberator.
Oh, Liberator coming in.
Now that we've been re-equipped and reorganized, we got a lot more new officers too. I don't even recognize some of the officers. Before I was having a problem recognizing enlisted men. Now I'm having a problem recognizing officers.
Yeah. Do you have any 29s up on that strip?
Nope.
No.
Never saw 29 there.
No.
I think they're working out of some island closer to the mid-Pacific, like Guam, places like that. But there you can see the twin strips side by side. Taxiway on the outside of both strips. A lot of those hard stands had 3 or 4 planes on them, because the hard stands were built to take the big boys. When you put those fighters on them, you get 3 or 4 in there.
Yeah.
That was a nice island. The guy wanted to go down and own himself an island. That'd be a nice one to own.
Was it inhabited?
I don't remember. If we had any natives working with us while we were on this island or not. It was more of the Boneyard.
Yeah.
There's an L5. I was up in the air with him. I took some of those last pictures. He's the pilot of the L5. He used to fly around over the Japs and drop hand grenades on them out of that plane. His head examined.
Mm. He must have been half Aussie to do that. That's the way they were operating.
Maybe he was all Aussie, I don't know.
Might have been.
He used to fly at treetop heights and he'd come into a clearing and be Japs and he'd throw hand grenades at them.
I remember when the Aussies were dive bombing the ships in the Bismarck Sea Battle while the heavies were dumping their bombs up above.
Yeah.
Those pilots of ours come back and tell about that. You know, those Aussies were in dive bombing, and here the heavies were up letting their bombs go. I tell you, they were something.
They sure were. Boy, those Aussies. When we were there in Santa Nanda there, those Aussies would go in with a platoon of men, and when it got down to the last man left standing, well, he'd turn around and go back, and they'd send another platoon in.
You know, they used to count the old hand grenade seconds down before they throw them, you know, let them loose and then throw them, because otherwise sometimes the Japs would throw them back, see. But they didn't have time when, I don't know how many Aussies didn't get rid of them in time. I think they counted 5, if I remember right.
Oh, we had planes running out of our ears around here.
Yeah.
When they went out, they all went. There goes the big boys now.
Mhm.
Guess they had snakes
Snakes there,
on
too.
Morotai. So sorry.
And pretty scenery there in places, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Cherokee Strip. Cherokee Strip was never anything like that.
Oh. Yeah, they used to have with more down in there, Dobadur, they had old twin nifties down there. I didn't see that one yet.
Well, I haven't seen that one up here. Almost all the fighters here are 38s and 47s.
Mm.
I think they kind of left the P-39 and P-40s back.
Yeah, these 38s and 47s, that's much more altitude.
Oh, yeah.
They could get up there where they were.
I don't think either one of them were as maneuverable as the 40s and 39s, though. See, some of these 47s got a lot of Jap planes to their credit.
Yeah,
That guy's an ace. He's got 5.
and that was designed by the guy that designed the Zero, wasn't it? The 47, I think.
Could be. They look a lot alike.
Yeah, same, I think Sikorsky or whatever his name was.
Maybe. I don't know.
He designed the Zero, and the one was a Zero, and he wanted to sell it to the U.S., and they didn't take it. And I think Clyde told him, so they asked they told him sell the next highest bidder, and that was Japan. This was before the war now. And that's how they come up with the Zero.
You remember this fella? He's a second lieutenant that we got. I guess that's I'm there, but
That wasn't that Flint, was it?
Flint, no.
There was a...
Virgin on the verge. Big ass bird.
Ah.
They really had some imagination when they put on some of those signs on those planes.
Yeah.
Boy, look at that one, 16.
You bet.
Who's the? I can't read the pilot's name.
No, something psycho something. I didn't quite get all of it.
They're 8.
Yeah. They're getting where they starting to chalk up quite a few of them.
There's some 40s.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we left them all behind, but I guess we didn't.
Well, must have been some of them there, yep. Yeah,
I remember that lieutenant's name with that monkey. He was a heck of a nice kid.
Mhm. You pick him up there, the monkey, or they have those in there?
Yeah. Huh. Sure can't think of that kid's name. Here's a captain we picked up, knew too. He probably knew after you left, wasn't
Yeah, I
he?
don't.
I think he knew there on Morotai.
Yeah, I don't recognize him at all.
That was a nice monkey. I think this must be taken inside the mess hall. Now we're in Manila.
Oh, that's Manila. Huh?
Yep, that's Manila, doing road work in Manila there. All the roads had gone to hell, and the Japs didn't do anything during their occupation of Manila, which was about 4 years. Everything kind of went to pot. We had a lot of road work to do, a lot of bridge work. They blew all the bridges over the Pasig and the Marisquina rivers. This is the officers' tents. We put them around in a circle around the top of a real high hill there, and then over on the next hill over, there's the officers' mess. So man, we're almost living like we're civilized here.
Yeah, I was thinking that by that time they were getting to the, must have been able to see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
There.
And I always see those little kids with their water buffaloes out in the river, cooling the buffalo off. The buffalo just love to get out there and lay in that water in the river. Boy, they were a useful beast. And they were just like a pet with those kids. This is the drag line we had operating there in the river, getting river gravel for the roads. We operated it in the daytime, and then later on the Japs started coming in and operating it at night to haul gravel to their side of the river. They were in the hills on the other side of the river. The last night they were there, they blew up all our equipment. I think I got some pictures of it later on. A nice swimming hole for the kids when they dug it out.
Yeah.
Boy, could they swim.
They just like little
Like a
animals.
bunch of fish. There's some Philippine soldiers on patrol.
Quite a contrast as you
Yeah.
follow through the war and the
This is an old cemetery in Manila there. Yeah, there's what's left of a D7. As the Japs blew that engine. That was the last night they ever came down to operate our equipment. They must have been pulling back after that. So they blew up a drag line, blew up a D7. Those are a bunch of Euclids we got. Boy, those were a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd all a load. And the trouble is, they didn't send over enough replacement parts. Pretty soon we had a whole damn lineup of Euclids in the yard, all deadlined, redlined.
I remember when I left the outfit and went down to Milne Bay, and we were fighting those old shovels up there. They had 1 out of 3 that operate, and they had, if there was one, there was 50 brand new ones sitting there. And I asked them why they weren't up the line. Well, they got to be requisitioned, you know. And I said, well, I'm sure they've been requisitioned a long time ago. And they sat there. There was a Liberty ship sitting in the harbor that had been sitting there for 10 months. It was fully loaded, but they lost the orders. I said, you mean to tell me that there isn't anybody that's got guts enough to unload the thing and get it out? And they had to pay that crew this combat zone pay, I think was $125 a day or something every day. They finally took this down to a skeleton crew then and sent the rest of them off, and it was sitting there when we left.
That's the way some of the places went over there.
I just absolutely...
Things were happening up on the front in the combat zone where we were mostly, but when you got a little further back, boy, you kind of wondered how in the world the front was ever running.
Yeah. When the red tape caught up with it, why then it was time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I came back, and my sister worked in the war production office in Washington, D.C., and so I went visit there with her one morning, and there was a captain in there, and he talked about the supplies they'd sent over, and what about them? What do you think? And I said, well, for instance, they used to send supplies over for the they'd send, we used so many clutch cones on the dozers and the Laterno, and then you'd have to have a kit with all kinds of stuff that you didn't need. And I told him about a few of those things. Well, he said, the company tells us what you need. I said, that's the trouble. Why not find out from the other end what they need? Because the company was in business to sell parts. And, well, he said, I'm pretty busy this morning, Sergeant. In other words, go and get out. I don't want to talk about it.
There's some of the Jap equipment, booby traps, mines, aircraft shells, anti-personnel shells. We kind of made up a whole list of those things. That's the end.
That's it, huh? Well.